This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
Good evening and welcome into Friday Night Football, everyone's favorite night. Week 10 is in the books as much as it can be under the weather situation. Next 15 minutes, I'll have recaps from every game all over the Concho Valley. We start with the Central Bobcats, who hosted Odessa High. But first, here's what Central coach Mark Smith had to say about the season. The Bobcats game was suspended in the first quarter. They were down 7-0 when it got suspended by rain. Here we go with some highlights here. First down play, Central opening drive, outside run, play goes nowhere. Third down play, scramble right for Squeaky, play goes nowhere. Central to punt. Odessa first possession, QB scramble left and then to his right. It's completed pass for first down. Odessa QB steps up, throws right, another completion to extend the drive. Ball inside the 3 after a move by the receiver. Inside handoff, touchdown Odessa, 7-0 with 4 minutes to go in the first half before a weather delay at 7:30. Still delayed at last check. Lakeview hosted Big Spring on Thursday night in a Halloween thriller. Both teams look for their first district win. Big Spring holds the overall series record at 22-9. They've met every year since 2018. First quarter, Chiefs QB Chris Alviso takes the snap, rolls to his left, and fires into the end zone, finding receiver Braylon White for the touchdown, 7-0 Lakeview. Second quarter now, 11:08 to go. Adrian Yanez and Steers respond. Kane Valenzuela hauls it in for the middle. The game 7-7. Just 9 seconds later, Big Spring gets the ball back as Alviso gets swarmed and has nowhere to go. R.J. Ramirez jars the ball loose and the Steers recover. And Big Spring makes Lakeview pay, capitalizing on the ensuing drive. Yanez finding Jacoby Lozano on his left for the score, 14-7 Steers. Ensuing kickoff, Steers kicker Jeremy Minter trying to catch the Chiefs off guard with an onside kick, but it's easily recovered by Lakeview. Following drive, Alviso hitting Daniel Munoz for a nice gain. Chiefs trying to add some excitement before the end of the first half, but the drive comes up empty. Last play of the half, Yanez just heaving it downfield, and it's intercepted by Francisco Ramirez, able to find green grass for a moment, but it's well short of scoring. Steers went ahead 14-7 at half and never looked back. They ended up winning this one 28-21. Chiefs fall to 0-2 in district. Switching to Class 3A, TLC San Angelo traveled to Comanche looking for that elusive win after an 0-8 start and an 0-3 mark in district. Comanche was 5-3 and 2-1. This game was all Comanche Indians. TLCA would score in the last quarter, but they would lose this one 72-6. Our next 3A matchup of the night was a showdown of Grape Creek at Merkel. Grape Creek 3-6, 1-2 in district. Merkel 0-8 and 0-2. A win would boost Grape Creek's playoff hopes. Grape Creek would take the lead from the start and dominate. The final score, 14-0 Eagles in this one.
Brought to you by Randall Motors.
Okay, we're going to send off to Brian now, who's live in the studio due to weather issues, and he's going to give us some clinching scenarios ahead of district with weather delays.
And good evening, I'm Brian Cunningham and we're live in studio. We're away from our normal setup. We should be out at Central, but we had a little bit of a weather delay out there that has canceled that game. It was called off 7-0 at about 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. So you're probably wondering, well, I'm trying to watch you guys' show and we have a bunch of games that didn't continue due to hail, rain, whatever the weather was. Well, we have some of those scenarios for you guys. We're actually going to start with my handy-dandy notebook right here. We have the 1A Division I scenario. Erie and County Water Valley game was suspended, and therefore was the Robert Lee and Very Best game suspended as well. Now, they're going to pick those things up, and we will have those updates in the next 48 hours as far as when those games are going to be replayed. But pretty much the scenario sits like this. If Robert Lee loses, we're facing a potential 3-way tie going into next week. It's a huge implication for playoff being in the future for this district. And if Robert Lee wins, well, Robert Lee and Water Valley may very well just take the district, which was predicted at the beginning of the season. And then we're going to send it to the 3-2A Division I. Cristoval won, and when Forsan lost to Ozona earlier tonight, what that did was that tied those guys at 2-2 entering week 5 of the 3-2A Division I. Now, that's the best part about that, because where we have going with this is 2-2 for Christoval, with their next game being Ozona, sitting in second place atop that district. And then we also have a must-win for Sonora, sitting at 1-3 against Colorado City. Well, guess what? If Christoval loses, if Colorado City defeats Sonora in what will be an upset, well, then we're going to be sitting again at another three-way tie in another district with one more week to go before the playoffs start. And we have 4 teams looking to fill 3 spots in that specific division, and we have a potentially, like I said, a three-way tie with Christoval, Forsan, and both of those with Sonora losing. It's one of the best things that we're looking at right now. Again, we're going to have the update on Water Valley and Erie County's game. We're going to have the update on Robert Lee and Very Best game when we get those updates from the Weather Center and from the committees. Thank you guys for joining me again. I'm in studio. Brian Cunningham here. We're going to send it back over to Charles with Friday Night Football.
This live shot is sponsored by AFCO Steel.
Our final 3A matchup featured the Brady Bulldogs at the Tolar Rattlers in a showdown of the co-leaders in 5-3A Division II. Both teams 7-1 and 3-0 in district. The half score was 35-14 Tolar, but Brady wouldn't be able to catch up. Tolar was up 42-14 in the fourth at last check. Christoval Cougars and Sonora Broncos were fighting to get in playoff contention. Cougars 2-6 and 1-2 in district. Broncos 4-4 and 1-2. The Broncos and Cougars come out for the coin flip. First quarter action. Cougars draw first blood on a long TD run by Manuel Riojas, 7-0 Cougars. Sonora gets within 7-6 as Aaron Segura hands off to Isaiah Gomez as he barrels into the end zone. Cougars move ahead 14-6 as Ethan Bush outruns the Broncos D for a long TD pass. Sonora's Aaron Segura hands off to Justin Gonzalez, who gets wrapped up. And Christoval's Ethan Bush sacks the Sonora QB. Cougars QB Stanton McLaughlin fires a pass to Bush, who gets tackled. Christoval went on to win 20-13. Christoval has to win out to make the playoffs. The Ozona Lions hosted the Forsan Buffaloes in a showdown of teams tied for second in 3-2A D1. Ozona 6-2 and 2-1. Forsan 2-6 and 2-1. Close by the half, 28-20. Ozona. The Mason Punchers hosted Johnson City in a 14-2A D1 matchup. Punchers won 19 of the first 20 meetings. Punchers came in 7-1 and 3-0. Johnson City 2-6 and 0-3. This one was all Mason as they rolled 63-17. The El Dorado Eagles traveled to number 8 Wink for a 4-2A Division II clash. El Dorado came in 4-4 and 2-1 in district. Wildcats 7-1 and 3-0. First quarter action. There was an issue with the snap leading to a blocked punt by Wink's Kobe Valenzuela. It's scooped up by Ethan Cahill, who makes a mad dash over the goal line for Wink's first score, 7-0 Wildcats. Next, Wildcats QB Lane Lusby fires off a pass to Timothy Montoya, who gets into the end zone for another touchdown, making it 14-0 Wildcats. Second quarter, we have a huge throw from the Eagles QB Johnny Ray Adame, and what a catch from Isaac Vasquez. Another throw from Adame, but it's clipped midair and flies into the hands of Wink's own Cahill for an interception, ending the Eagles' drive. Look at him go. Wildcats going into halftime with 35-0 on the board. Wink would go on to roll 55-0. Another 4-2A D2 matchup with Sterling City at McCamey. Eagles and Badgers both 3-5 and 1-2 in desperate need of a win. Another close game tonight. The final score, 20-14 Sterling City. The Miles Bulldogs were looking to take a bite out of the winners Blizzards. Bulldogs were in third place in 7-2A D2 at 6-2 and 2-1. Winners 2-6 and 0-3. Our final matchup tonight featured the number 10 Junction Eagles at home against LaPrire. Junction 7-1 and 4-0. LaPrire 5-3 and 3-1. Junction another dominant force tonight. Final score 48-0 Eagles. We will look at Class 1A, starting with the Concho Valley clash of Erie County and Water Valley. Hang tight. This is Friday Night Football.
This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
The Water Valley Wildcats hosted the Erie County Hornets in an 8-1A D1 play. Wildcats 6-2 and 2-0. Hornets 3-5 and 1-1. We caught up with head coach Aaron Whitmire before the upcoming matchup to get his thoughts.
Hopping from 11-man to 6-man, the number things, first of all. I mean, we were playing 11-man football with 6-man numbers, and I've said that, 100 times. So that's been the biggest relief, is that we don't have to try to force people into places that they shouldn't be. Our kids fit the roles that they're playing, whether it be quarterback, offensive lineman, running back, and we're not having to make somebody into something that they're not. And I think our kids enjoy that. I think our kids appreciate that, and they've really just taken it and ran with it.
These two teams are keeping their eyes on the winner of Robert Lee at very best. This game was scoreless when it got suspended. In another Concho Valley 8-1A Division I matchup, the Robert Lee Steers face the very best Falcons on the road. Steers 6-3 and 2-1. Falcons 6-2 and 1-1. Very best fans and the Bird Mafia get ready for this crucial showdown. Robert Lee leads 8-0 in the first after Denver Odell pitches to Brenner Sherwood, and he runs for a long TD. Later in the first, very best pulls even at 8-8 on a touchdown run by Bryce Martin as he shakes off a defender near the goal line. Robert Lee's Brenner connects with Levi Bailey, and he hits pay dirt in the right end zone. 16-8 Steers. Bryce Martin carries for the Falcons, but he gets bottled up by the Steers D. Still in the first, very best ties it at 16-16 after Lorenzo Height pitches to Martin, who connects with Peyton Larson for a score. It was 24-24 when it got suspended. Eden Bulldogs hosted the Nueces Canyon Panthers, and both teams were needing a win to stay in the playoff hunt. Eden series tied at 2-2 all time, haven't met since 2017. Starting the second quarter, already 20-0 Eden, and they didn't stop there. Garrett Cogbell takes it all the way to the end zone, 28-0 Bulldogs. A few moments later, running back Nate Barba runs down the sideline and struts into the end zone for 6, 34-0. Bulldogs now poured it on. Eden also dominating on defense. Jared Fernandez jars the ball loose from Nueces Canyon quarterback. Picks up by Cohen Holscher for another Dogs touchdown, 40-0 now. Jaden Recio taking the handoff next and adding yet another touchdown, 46-0 Eden. They get the job done on senior night, shutting out Nueces Canyon 46-0. And our last game of the night is the Brought Longhorns at the Trent Gorillas. Longhorns 2-6 and 1-1 in district. Gorillas 4-4 and 1-1. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot. Longhorns would win this one 65-26. When we come back, we'll look at our Dr. Pepper trivia question for the week, plus Week 10 headlines and Week 11 games. Stay right here. This is Friday Night Football.
This is Friday Night Football on KLST, brought to you by Randall Motors.
Welcome back in. We have covered all the games from tonight. Let's look at one of our Dr. Pepper trivia questions again from this week's past sweepstakes. How many playoff appearances does Robert Lee have in its school history? A, 5, B, 16, C, 24, or D, 33? Head over to our website, Concho Valley Homepage, to answer. The winner will be announced on Sunday. Before looking ahead to next week's games, let's look at some of the headlines from this week. Central and Odessa, that game got suspended early. Lakeview fell on Halloween night against Big Spring at home. Cristobal and Sonora. Cristobal wins that one. And Brady blew out Tolar. And now here's a look at some of our matchups for Week 11. The Central Bobcats will wrap up the regular season under first-year head coach Mark Smith with a road trip to Friendship, and they will be hoping to end the year on a positive note. Lakeview Chiefs have one last chance to get a district win this season, and that will be on the road against Andrews. The Chiefs will be shooting for their first district win since the 2021 campaign. After having a bye this week, the number 5 Wall Hawks will take a 7-game win streak into the regular season finale at home against Stanton. And the Erie County Hornets will wrap up the regular season when they host Water Valley in another key 8-1A matchup at OK Wolfenbarger Field. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. We appreciate you watching, and be sure to visit the Concho Valley homepage for any extra news and information regarding tonight's games. And don't forget to put in your answers for the Dr. Pepper Trivia Sweepstakes. Now, sadly, that does end it for us here tonight with KLST Sports. I'm Charles Bryce. I'll see you next week for Week 11. Thanks for hanging out, and good night, Concho Valley.